Was president of the college, Vincennes. It was a 2-year college, but I believe they now have 4-year degrees. And let's see, I went to Vincennes University through the military program. I was stationed at March at the time, and we had to go to NCO school, and this was one of the things they wanted us to do. They were giving a leadership course toward our PME. And for those of you guys that don't know, I was enlisted for 8 years before I crossed over. And one of the main reasons I crossed over to the officer corps, because I was perfectly happy doing what I was doing, is the fact that I couldn't promote after E5. I was one of the last buck sergeants in the Air Force. Some of you guys see me, and I'll be wearing my old Air Force pickle uniforms, which if you talk to anybody that ever wore the pickle uniform, especially people in the 80s, that was the best uniform ever to have, because you could put it in all kinds of combinations: long sleeve, short sleeve. You could blouse it, unblouse it, wear boots with it, wear core frames with it. It was, shirt tucked in, shirt tucked out. There's so many combinations to it. So I was one of the last buck sergeants in the military, and I made E5, and I couldn't promote. I was one of those young guys. You just want to promote because you want to hurry up and get there. And I was faced with coming up with an astronomical number to promote. If everybody knows you can't go any more than 100% in anything. Everybody says, "Well, I give 110%." That's bullshit. You can only give 100. So I ended up on the testing thing. I had to have like 112 points to promote, and I was a mechanic at the time. And I'm competing. One of the biggest career fields in the Air Force is the mechanic career field. There's more mechanics than there is anything else. When I say mechanic career field, I'm talking about the jet engine specialists, all those people that have the maintenance badge. And, I was a crew chief, and a crew chief is a unskilled person. He's like basically. Have you guys ever watched the Andy Griffith Show and you see Gomer Pyle? But see, Gomer was skilled. Gomer knew how to fix engines and stuff. Him and Goober. But that's basically what a crew chief is. We're the guys that kick the tires, we check the oil. We know a little bit about certain things, but that's what you have specialists for. And you go to the specialist, and they would be a little bit more in depth in it. But we were the ones that kind of just kicked the tires and did the routine, clean the windows. So that's a summary of a crew chief. And don't get me wrong, you have a lot of crew chiefs out there that are very good at their jobs mechanically, and a lot of them go on and get their A&P licenses. And I really applaud the Air Force for opening up a program to where you can go get your A&P license if you have a 5-level crew chief level. I think that made sense, and that really opened up for me to get my A&P license. And I went and did that, coming right out of the crew chief thing. And you're always going to need mechanics. And the average mechanic makes, for the airlines, is $25 an hour. Matter of fact, I got a text from a friend of mine, young guy, I met at my uncle's funeral, and he was testing for A&P. He's a young guy and has a beautiful wife and stuff, and he was very excited about aviation. And I told him, I said, "Hey, you got to get in this." And he was asking me for advice, what I should do. And I just told him, I said, "Hey, man, pass the test, number one, and don't BS your way through your oral." And the oral is when you have a examiner come in, and you kind of, if you don't know the answer, go to the book. Basically, you don't have an answer, go to that book and get that answer to the best that you can do. So, stop. My cat there. So anyway. So I couldn't promote, so that's pretty much how I ended up going to the officer side. But basically, Vincennes University was the course that I went through, and I ended up going back to Embry-Riddle, and I think I went to the Vincennes in 1991. And by then, years had passed. And then I realized that, I hadn't finished Embry-Riddle. It was on my transcript. I had the credits for the leadership course. I think it was like 2 units or 3 units, something like that. And I could use it toward my CCAF degree. And, years later, I found out North Island, Naval Air Station North Island, they had a outlet that had Vincennes University down there. And this is years later. And I get a letter from them, Vincennes, that says, hey, you've got your CCF and stuff like that. If you come over here and do this, all you got to do is take a science class and you could, graduate with an AS degree in general studies. And I said, well, do I really want to do that? But then I saw the historical significance of Vincennes University. And I said, you know what, let me just go ahead and get it because, number one, it's on the East Coast. It's a historically old, college of the United States. And I said, I'm gonna go ahead and get it and just do it. So I would go down to San Diego and I would go to that extension thing over there. And I took what did I take? Physics? Was it science? I think it was general science. And I took a class down there and I passed. And next thing you know, I get a degree from Vincennes University. And that's pretty much how I got the shirt and the degree, so that's pretty much what I did there. So, yeah.